Alrighty everyone, welcome back. We are now approaching the middle point of February of 2025, and the Meghan Markle drama continues to get worse. We already know that there's a lot of things going on right now between CEO Greg Peters, the executives over there, the board of directors that are desperately trying to get things back on track with the show, as well as Meghan Markle herself really hitting back against Netflix and really getting very infuriated over what they're doing right now with the show. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. So we know that this series is still on track to release in early March. Now, despite all of the re-edits, despite everything else going on in between over at Netflix, they are still set and ready to drop this thing in a short number of weeks. But what's interesting here has a lot to do with Meghan Markle's recent reaction based on what Netflix recently did to her and exactly why this is all happening as we speak. Now, one thing about Netflix is that we know that Greg Peters, the CEO, realizes that this is going to be an epic ratings disaster across the board, across all forms of social media, across many different subscribers that are still subbed to Netflix, that are actually on the fence of leaving right now because of this one show in particular. However, this is where things begin to really escalate, because we know that Meghan Markle is really going off the rails right now toward CEO Greg Peters, the many executives, the producers, and the editing team for Meghan Markle now, and working on that series with Love Meghan, I should say, and exactly what's going on there. So let's jump into this. Now, interestingly enough, one thing is for certain is that this show could very well go down as the worst rated show in history on Netflix. However, with Meghan Markle's drama only getting worse for Netflix as the arguments continue behind the scenes, one major development now involves how the Netflix executives are currently in the process of completely rearranging the new show with Love Meghan through the process of re-edits for this series. This involved, get this, the cancellation of multiple scenes now that failed in the most recent test screening that led to the Netflix board and executives to cut roughly 10 whole scenes from With Love Meghan. Already, Meghan Markle had a remote meeting since she's away at this moment and had a very argumentative conversation with the executives and CEO Greg Peters, where she went on a mindless rant that was so erratic and toxic that it spread throughout the entire studio, labeling Peters as sexist and misogynistic for deleting such scenes that featured both Meghan Markle and Mindy Kaling. As a result, Mindy Kaling lost a large chunk of her screen time in the series, and she's not happy at all about that one bit. To make matters worse, for Meghan's sake, is that they are also now canceling Meghan Markle from appearing on video for multiple radio shows, such as Howard Stern, to promote the show. This was recently scrubbed by Netflix as they are desperately trying to keep Meghan Markle quiet about her show to reduce the backlash as much as possible. Now, CEO Greg Peters, however, is still having a hard time convincing the board to not insert Meghan's presence at the LA fires into the introduction of the show as Meghan demanded. Many of the board members are still on her side, only the minority are against her about that as re-edits are underway. Now, along with all of this, by the way, Meghan Markle also labeled the editors in the recent emergency meeting that took place as incompetent and inexperienced and misguided when it comes to her vision of how she wants the show produced. Hey guys, let me just say one thing about this. Now, this is no different than how she got the marketing team fired earlier on when the board trusted her, quite frankly, a whole lot more. What one thing is really clear, one thing is very much transparent now, is that Meghan Markle seemingly wants to get rid of these editors because now she's actually calling them inexperienced, incompetent, and misguided when it comes to the vision for With Love Meghan. So she's really going all over the place because she's away right now. She doesn't quite know how to handle the situation other than hopping into these remote emergency meetings with the Netflix execs. But this is where it gets even worse. Alright, let's continue on. The Netflix editing team also were demanded by the execs to edit out segments of Meghan Markle's acting sequences that were best described as the worst acting ever scenes in a TV show by screeners for this series. Still, there are other screenings that take place. However, a test screening for episodes 7 and 8, alright, the finale, are about to begin in a couple of days to truly determine the state of the disaster show. Meghan Markle already had 2 emergency meetings now with the Netflix executives, especially after the re-edits, and already is demanding them to reinstate her footage that she shot with Mindy Kaling for episodes 4, 6, and 7 that were all scrubbed, actually slashing Mindy Kaling's screen time down significantly. Now, the editing team deleted over 40 minutes of footage altogether that were considered the worst rated scenes by screeners, particular to Meghan Markle. Now, before I move on about this, let me just say one thing. The fact that they are going through so many different screenings right now, so many different, audience members to get engaged in these screenings, is that they really want to get a grasp about how large the backlash is going to be, how much of an impact it's going to have on their image, how well or terribly received this show truly is going to be once it arrives come early March. And look, we know that this was supposed to drop. It was supposed to release in early January, or I should say mid-January. There was no reason at all to delay it. It was all said and done. It was all edited together. Everything was all fine. And Meghan Markle used the LA fires as a reason, as an excuse to delay the show. It did not need to be delayed at all. They weren't doing any kind of extensive or super involved press tour or anything like that. They could have easily just dropped this thing, all 8 episodes, and have people just watch this. They didn't want to do it in January. There's a lot of things going on there. They wanted to do this in March, and we have a lot more to talk about that overall scenario, the factors that led to that point. But that's another time. However, the editing team deleted over 40 minutes of footage now altogether, like I said, that were considered the worst rated scenes by screeners. Now, other improved takes are being replaced or to take over those sequences, or in certain instances, they will not be actually placed in. Now, Markle is already warning Netflix that she will make a legal case if this all leads to a ratings disaster for her show. Regardless, however, many of the board members are still favoring Meghan, while the executives and Greg Peters truly want to part ways immediately. So look, about the board of directors, it's really divided right now, but when you look at the ratio, it's more like a very interesting situation because you have, a little more than half of the board members that are on Meghan's side right now. And they all want a season 2. They have a season 2 brainstorming idea greenlit already. They already have the overall idea for another season of With Love, Meghan to really kind of go back into other hobbies of Meghan Markle. Nobody wants to see that, by the way. But just in case they do renew her contract, they have this all set and ready to go. This way they can hop right into production. It's their contingency plans, so to speak. But if they do end up actually canceling her contract beyond 2025, they're going to throw this thing in the trash immediately. So it's going to be very interesting to see where things go in the next couple of months as we are now within 2025. Now, again, Meghan Markle, she will return to Netflix in the coming days. And we already know that that's going to create more chaos because she's going to be overseeing everything that's going on with the show, the editing, the marketing, and the more emergency meetings to take place between herself, the board, the executives, etc., etc. It's going to get ugly, for sure, as we get closer to that release date. And I would not be too shocked. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I would not be too shocked if this thing gets delayed again by a couple of weeks. Well, I'll have to wait and see. Overall, I would like to hear what you all have to say about this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.